everything you've done for us guys. I was 18 years old. I didn't know anything about anything, and you always encouraged me and loved up on me. So I'm just thankful for that, guys. And thank you guys for having us here too.
Now, he didn't love up on her like
No,
that.
not that way. No, I can defend myself. No.
He just crazy.
You know what's cool is Julio was just in Manhattan. Like the last time I saw Julio was in Manhattan, right? New York. He had an office in New York, and then all of a sudden he moved down here, and he developed a team. I think that's awesome. I mean, for somebody to be able to go from where they are and out of their comfort zone to come down to a place where they hardly know anybody and be able to give other people an opportunity, I think that's special, you know. And you know how many people move around, and after they move, they just live the life. Like Julio can live the life right now. You know, he can basically not have to do what he's doing as far as building a team, but right now he's giving everybody a shot, which is pretty cool. How many of you guys first time over here in a big event? No, so almost half the room. Which is how often do they do these?
Every quarter.
Every quarter. Okay, so that means half of the guys in this room have been here less than 3 months. And like you don't have to, like I went over my numbers today, you don't have to start out the way we started in the business. You can go faster. But it doesn't matter how you started. It's what's awesome is, you know, you just gotta take the message of what you learned today from all the leaders that spoke, from what Julio tells you, because he's built it in New York, okay? Now he's building it over here. And what's cool is you get the chance to learn from somebody who knows the business. He's not new in the business. He knows the business. If you follow his lead, if you do what he says, I mean, you're gonna make this thing work. Does that make sense?
Right.
And we have the awesome Keith Otto.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
First of all, I think it's cool that these guys are here. 2 reasons they're here is they came here to do the school, but they're also expanding in Florida too. I mean, a lot of people are threatening to move down here. You know that, which is cool. Warm weather, and it's a huge market. We were just talking about it before. One of the things that him and I talked about years ago, I was going to move to San Diego, and we talked about moving to San Diego. And then he told me he was going to move to San Diego, which is why I moved to Florida. Yeah, and so he says, I said, I'm not moving to San Diego. He said, I'm not moving to San Diego. I said, and then he goes, I'm coming to Naples. I said, if I were you, I wouldn't come to Naples. Not because I don't want him in Naples, but to me, and I said the same thing to you guys, when I look at the demographics, when I look at the market, when I look at Primerica, Tampa is a huge, huge area. It's a huge opportunity, this whole area, to build a business, especially for our demographics, middle income, upper middle income, you know, people that are threatening to get to middle income, right? It's just a huge market for middle income people, and that's our market. And so, you know, when Julio and I talked about that, you know, coming down here and expanding, I love what you guys have going on right now. And so I was asked to come tomorrow and to speak for a few minutes, only because I wanted to see these guys. I wanted to see Julio for a few minutes tomorrow. And then they asked me if I would go on the agenda, if I'm going to be here. So I'm going to speak for a couple minutes tomorrow. So I was really supposed to come up tomorrow morning. I've got some teammates in my base shop that are just going to plug in. We didn't plug in today, but we'll be here tomorrow with some of our guys. And the only reason I came here is because he gave me a call and said, could you do me a favor? I'm meeting with some of our teammates in my suite on Friday night. So therefore, I dragged my son with me, and because my mother-in-law is she loves Barbra Streisand. You guys like Barbra Streisand? I killed myself.
Tim does.
My mother loves Barbra Streisand. So my wife flew up to New York and took her to the Barbra Streisand concert. And yeah, they went to a play tonight. They're partying. She sent me things from the China Grill. They're like drinking. They're like, guys or whatever, shaking their money maker. But so they're up there partying. So I got my kids, and so I was going to come up tomorrow. So he asked me if he could be here, and I wanted to grab a couple minutes with these guys too. And I'm excited. I'm excited about what's going on with the team right now. I'm excited about this market, especially in Florida. We have, we're fortunate. We've got 376 regional vice presidents that we have a financial interest in. And so getting ready to come full time soon. And if you look at all the offices that we have, we got a bunch in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, out west. We got a bunch in Florida. But all the RVPs, we got tons of RVPs, regional vice presidents in Florida, but they're all from Miami all the way up to Jacksonville. And we've got 2 on the West Coast, from Marco Island all the way up past Tampa. And so just kind of gives you an example of the demographics in the market and what we're doing. And those of you that are newer, been here less than 30 years, like me, the thing you got to look at about the business is the opportunity. Like the opportunity that these guys went over today, the opportunity that Julio talks about in front of the room and building a business. When he joined the business in New York, we didn't have the compensation we have. We didn't have the opportunity to build the company within a company. And I was telling these guys earlier, I have a client, I haven't been in the field in 15 years, but I have a client from 20 years ago. He says to me, it's so funny, I'm 51 now. And he goes, so I had my son with me today, so I took him on an appointment. And I do my one appointment a year with a client. He's the only client I got left. All my other clients I gave, well, actually that's not true, I got 2 of them. So all my other clients I gave away. And this client moved from New York and retired as a fireman and retired with like $700,000, and we invested that money for him years ago, and now he's got like $1.7 million. And he's financially set. The guy loves me. He doesn't love me, he loves what I think he's attracted to me. Him and his wife loved what we did for him, which is a cool thing to be able to look at the end result. Like when we do an F&A or we show, the rule 72, oh, this becomes this. Well, this became that, and so when you see the end result and you see the cool things that we do for people, it's awesome. And what was really neat tonight is, and every couple months, hey man, I haven't seen you all, when are you gonna stop up? And the guy's in Bradenton, which is not down the street from me. So every time I'm up in this area, if I'm gonna go to Disney once a year or whatever, I'll take the kids, I'll try to stop by if I can. And so I've been putting it off, so I knew I was gonna come here tonight. So I figured I was going to actually go tomorrow on the way back, but since you asked me to be here tonight, I came up tonight and I stopped there and I had my son with me. So we sat there and we talked for a couple hours, and as I was leaving, he says, I've known your dad for 20 years. My son's 14, right? So he goes, I've known your dad for 20 years. He goes, how old are you? I said, I'm 51. He goes, I knew your dad when he was 31. Wow. And he goes, your dad used to come to my house because he was a fireman. He goes, your dad used to come to my house at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night when he would get off his shift. And I used to feel bad because I said, oh my God, I got this guy out late. And then he goes, I didn't feel bad. And then one time he goes, you were leaving my house on a Sunday night. You go, I got to go because I have another appointment. And my son looks at me and goes, Dad, you used to work? Because I don't and he goes, and so he sat there and he sat my son down. He talked to him for 10 minutes and told him how hard he was. And the bottom line is we used to work our butt off, right? We were doing the things that these guys talked about tonight and that Julio talks about each and every week in the meetings. And there's a grind time. I talk about it all the time. There's a 5 to 10 year period in Primerica where you got to bust your butt. You got to grind it out. You got to work hard. You got to max it out because it pays dividends, right? It pays huge. Mm-hmm. And most people, my feeling is if you're going to bust it for 5 to 10 years, do it the first 5 to 10, not the last 5 to 10, right? So if you look at it and it compounds out, just like Glenn talked about, and when they talked tonight, the incomes in the beginning didn't look like that. When Julio started in the state of New York, the compensation that we had was this big compared to the compensation we have as a vice president right now. The division leaders, really technically, advance-wise, is what you got. If you were an RVP, you got paid as a division. What you got advanced and what now as an RVP with the bonuses, it's crazy. We didn't have bonuses in New York. As an RVP, my first bonus check Monday night they cut was $115,000 in one check, and we get 80 checks a month. So I'm like, bring it. And so the opportunity we have to build a business or build a company within a company is incredible, right? So the things that we look at when we're new is, especially those of you that are new, is this thing for real? We think about, is this thing for real? It's not for real, it's unreal, because people look at the opportunity, and the biggest challenge you have is getting people to understand it. So the reason I told you about my son is because he came with me on this little appointment tonight. It was really an appointment. I sat there and the guy showed me his gun collection, showed me this. I said, hey, just want to let you know, man. He goes, yeah, my money's growing good. Just wanted to see. He gives me a hug, him and his wife, and we leave, right? So we get in the car, and my son goes, now, Dad, I don't understand. How did you meet him? And he goes, every time somebody calls you up and you don't know who they are, you hang up, right? Because I hate getting cold called. You ever get cold called? How you doing? Hey, I bought my daughter a car 6 months ago, and I got a phone call the other day and said, hey, your warranty on your car's up. I go, it's brand new. It was someone trying to sell me something. You know what I'm talking about? So I said, Blake, he goes, Dad, did you have to cold call them? I've been doing this now 29 years. I've never cold called anybody. And if I moved to Naples, Florida tomorrow and I didn't know anybody, I'd be cold calling, ice cold calling, freezing. I'd call anyone, right?
I don't think so Naples had that one.
What?
No, ice cold.
No, it's hot. Cold,
No.
right? That's why you're gonna say hard market. Muy caliente. So when I looked at the business, so my son goes to me, Dad, how did you meet this couple? I said, I met him through this person. So I went through like 9 people all the way back to my wife who had a nail salon in Staten Island who led me to all these people I recruited and did business with. And he's like, so I was talking to him about the business, right? So the whole way he's like, well, Dad, why doesn't everybody do it if it's so good? Right? You ever think that? Like, if it's so great. And so I had him with the old, hey, if being thin is healthier, why does Daddy have a dickie do? Where he's thinking it's after a dickie, right? So why does if being healthy, right? Why do people smoke? Right? It is what it is, right? So listen to that, big boy. So when you look at the opportunity we have, is this thing for real? The thing you got to look at, is it for real? Is it credible? Those are things that we got to prove to people, right? Like you sit in a meeting like tonight, and you see $1 million ring go out, and you see an $800,000, $400,000, you can't sit there and say, this thing's not for real.
That's right.
Right? This thing's not for real. And what makes it for real, I think, comes down to what we do for people across the kitchen table. I did an interview for Doris Chow yesterday. It was in our base shop. She'll be here tomorrow. And I talked about it last week. This lady came down for an opportunity, and she used to work for another company, A.G. Edwards. So she walks in our office last week for the op meeting afterwards. She goes, oh my God, this sounds great. It's exactly what I used to do. I said, exactly the same, only different, right? So I said, what do you do? I said, you work for Primerica. She said, no, I work for A.G. Edwards. I said, that's not what we do. And that's not what we do, by the way. And so after talking to her for a couple minutes, I said, what did you do? She goes, I have a Series 7, I have this, I have that, I have this. I said, so you were in the financial services business. I said, I'm in the distribution of financial products. Like we did 8,000 transactions last month in our organization. I did 0. And we'll do 0 this month too, right? So, but in the beginning, I was trying to sell my son on. In the beginning, I used to be a big personal producer, right? Just like, you said, hey, my son's here, I'm being a little bit crazy, but we recruited a bunch of people. You got to lead from the front early on so you can create leverage, so you can show others how to do what you know how to do. And so I was talking to this lady, and I said, what do you? She goes, oh, I sell life insurance, and I sold mutual funds, and I love the concepts. And I said, well, do you understand our concept of buy term invested? She goes, oh yeah, I used to do term insurance, and I did permanent insurance and whole life and universal life. And I said, well, that's not what we do. She goes, no. She goes, I go, no, that's not what we do. She goes, well, there's a need for that. I said, there's absolutely never a need.
Right.
Yeah.
She goes, well, when you sit down with a person who makes a lot of money, I said, I made $4 million last year, and I got term insurance. I got a business that's worth millions and millions of dollars, and I've got term insurance. I've got a huge net worth. I've got term insurance. So I said, what I want to do is when I'm back in town, because I went to New York, I was with these guys Saturday night. They had a sushi party. All I gotta do is feed me and drink. So I met with her yesterday for an hour. I sat down and said, what I'm gonna do is sit down with you and go over what I do, and if it makes sense, we work together. If it doesn't make sense to you, then we don't need to work together. Because what it comes down to is, why do people sell products other companies sell? Because they make more money. And my answer to her was, why don't we go sell drugs? Because we can make a lot more money selling drugs. I don't want to do that to people. And I don't care how much money you make, if we don't do the right thing for people, it makes no sense.
Right.
And so an hour later, every time she said, what about this? I had 8 or 10 analogies. She's like, wow, you keep it so simple. Our business is simple.
Right.
Our business is simple. Is it credible? It's incredible. Is it real? It's unreal when you get a chance to learn. The opportunity is bigger than we talk about. Like people sitting there today going, oh my God, it sounds too good to be true. It's better than what they talked about tonight, right? And then the thing you got to look at is it good for people? It's great. The education we provide, what we do for people is something they could do for themselves, but they currently don't. Think about that. Anybody could buy a mutual fund. Anybody could own term insurance. Anyone can get a financial house put together, but nobody does it. No one takes those Wall Street concepts and brings it to Main Street. But the most important thing is, the last thing that we always talk about with new people is, can I do this? And the thing that stops people from becoming successful in this business is you listen to Julio, it's got a tremendous